please proceed with your speech.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise today with the great honour of delivering my maiden speech to the 42nd Parliament of Western Australia, as just the third National Party member for Central Wheatbelt. In 1963, when the WA government opened new land for development, my grandparents, Audrey and Barry Hunter, seized that opportunity to expand on their farming operations. They purchased a block in East Hyden and started clearing virgin agricultural land. And after my father Greg and his brother Shane finished ag school, they joined this mighty effort. It was not easy country. It was marginal cropping land. It had low rainfall and sandy mallee soil, and not much else. They named that farm Hope Springs. It is more than just a name for a patch of dirt, but a name that speaks to something deeper, a determination to build something lasting when others might have only seen scrub and sand. And it captures the spirit that defines my electorate of Central Wheatbelt, the quiet, deep well of hope that better days can be carved from hard ground. Acting Speaker, that same spirit lives in our farms, our towns and our people. And it is the spirit that I hope to bring with me into this Parliament. I was born in Kalgoorlie on the 26th of July 1995, so I think that actually makes me the youngest member of this chamber. I am one of 4 children. Just 20 minutes after my appearance into this world became my twin sister, Monique Hunter. Yes, there are 2 of us. We had something of an unconventional, middle-class Australian childhood. When I was 7 years old, my family decided to retrofit a 24-foot Franklin caravan with 2 sets of bunk beds, packed up the distance education box and set off to explore the rest of this great country of ours, all towed, of course, by a Nissan Patrol. 4 kids squished together, ready to experience outback life. Acting Speaker, I can assure the Labor Party, if they want to know where my tormenting tendencies come from, just ask my 3 siblings. They are proud survivors of my brutality. Let's just say being one of the youngest doesn't always make you the quietest. To my siblings, my twin sister Monique Hunter, a successful small business person with her partner Isaac Devitt Boyd. To my eldest brother Mitchell Hunter, a successful farmer, proudly running the Hunter family farms with his wife Amy Hunter. And to my middle brother, an international elite athlete and a physiotherapist, and I acknowledge his partner Arabella Fisher. Thank you for your love, your support and your occasional tolerance. I'm proud of each of the lives, careers and families you are building. To Charlie, to Huey, to Brooklyn, Peyton and Blake, they are my nieces and nephews, and you are the next generation of Western Australians. I want you to know you are the reason we do this. And if I only achieve one thing during my time in this place, let it be this: to help create a more prosperous, equitable and safe state for you to grow up in. Acting Speaker, when I was growing up, I was guided by intergenerational love for the bush and a deep-held belief that regional Western Australia deserves equality and a strong voice. My grandparents instilled in me the values of hard work, of honesty, of dedication and loyalty. I'm extremely proud to be joined by them tonight in the gallery. My maternal grandparents, Hugh and Kay Gallagher. You have travelled today here from Geraldton. Kay is the daughter of a World War II veteran and a railways worker, and she is my political confidant. Nan, I'm grateful for your constant advice, your cheeky political commentary, and for always holding the left to account. To my pop, Hugh, who was a carpenter and actually helped construct part of this very building back in the 1960s. Later, as some would know, he became the longest-standing CEO of the Kalgoorlie Chamber of Commerce and the founder of the Regional Chambers of Commerce. you taught me the dignity of enterprise and the importance of hard work and aspiration. Acting Speaker, my paternal grandmother, Audrey Hunter, who is just nearly 90 years old, joins us virtually tonight from Bruce Rock. She was born in Kellerberrin in 1935 to Welsh and English migrants. Gran was the eldest of 7 girls and grew up on a family farm in a place called Babbickan. And like many love stories of that era, she met my grandfather, Barry, at a dance at the Babbickan Town Hall. Together, they built a life shaped by hard work, by perseverance and love. They raised 4 children, expanded their farm and contributed greatly to the growth of the wheat belt during a defining era in the state of Western Australia. Gran represents everything that makes the people of Central Wheatbelt so special. She is decent, she is honest, and she is hardworking. I hope this moment would have made my grandfather Barry proud. Acting Speaker, my parents, each in their own way, have taught me the meaning of resilience, of perseverance, and the importance of backing yourself even when the odds are against you. To Nicole and Eddie Hayes, and Greg and Karina Hunter, thank you. I wouldn't be standing here today without your love, your sacrifices, and the examples you set for each of us. This moment is yours as much as it is mine. Thank you for getting me here. And finally, I would like to acknowledge Bishop Michael Morrissey, a member of my extended family, with ties to Noongal Station in Yalgoo within the Diocese of Geraldton, a place deeply woven into our family's history. Thank you, Bishop Morrissey, for your enduring leadership and for being a beacon of faith and hope in our family. My journey into politics started at a very early age. One day, before I could even vote, I was so mad at what was happening with the federal government's live cattle ban, so I decided to call in to Jeff Hutchison's ABC morning program. To my amazement, thank you to the producer, whoever that was, put me through to Prime Minister Julia Gillard. And I asked her why her government had shut down the live cattle trade to Indonesia. More than a decade and 5 Prime Ministers later, another Labor government is tearing the Western Australian sheep industry apart with its new ban on the live sheep trade. Nothing exemplifies why we are in the political fray, because attacks on agriculture from activist groups are nothing short of relentless. After a gap year working in agriculture, I went on to study at the University of Western Australia. At that time, there wasn't a Young Nationals club on campus. So, in my nature, I started one. And by the time I left, it was bustling and hopefully still is full of members. Acting Speaker, having grown up with strong ties to the country, the pull to the National Party and the desire to represent rural and regional people was always clear. For members that aren't aware, the Central Wheatbelt is actually the birthplace of the Country Party, or the National Party that we know today. More than a century ago, beneath the shade of a tree in Kellerberrin, the seeds of the Country Party were planted. There were no marble halls or leather lounges, just a gathering of farmers, of shearers, of townsfolk, men and women hardened by drought, bound by a common truth and driven by inequity. They didn't gather for power, they gathered for purpose. They knew that if they didn't speak for their communities, no one would. They knew that the tyranny of distance must never mean the silence of representation. That tree, in my electorate of Kellerberrin, gave us more than shade for injustice. It gave us growth to a movement and to a party that would go on to shape not only regional Western Australia, but the national story of rural representation. That moment was forged not from privilege, but from purpose. From people who understood something timeless and true, that unless you fight for the regions, no one else will. Every branch of the National Party across this country owes something to that gathering. Every time we speak up for the bush, every time we fight for fair funding, for decent services, for dignity and opportunity in regional life, we honour those who gathered under that tree. And upon its formation, the inaugural president of our party, Alex Munger, stated, "So long as party politics continue, I fear our interests are likely to be neglected unless we are directly represented in Parliament and are sufficiently strong to insist on fair and equitable treatment." Today, more than 100 years later, I stand here not just as the representative for Central Wheatbelt, but as a product of the Country Party's purpose. And I recommit with everything that I have to that purpose, to be loud, to be local, and to be loyal to the people who sent me here. Acting Speaker, now I must speak to those very people of the electorate of Central Wheatbelt that have elevated me to this place. Indeed, the Central Wheatbelt is a remarkable part of our state, stretching across an area the size of South Korea and encompassing over 28 local governments. From the stillness of New Norcia and outward to the start of the goldfields in Southern Cross, it is a region of contrasts, rich in history, culture and contribution. It is home to Australia's most productive broadacre farms, the Boddington Gold Mine, the largest gold mine in the Southern Hemisphere, right out to the iconic Cummins Theatre in Merredin. The Wheatbelt is as industrialist as it is diverse. Our towns tell the story. Gold was struck in Southern Cross in 1888. Bruce Rock, my hometown, was founded by sandalwood cutters but now thrives on wheat and sheep. And York, our first inland settlement, was shaped by Chinese and Albanian migrants. And Northam, where I live today, saw thousands of post-war European migrants that brought with them dreams for a better life and a great industry. And that lives on today through our great civic buildings and churches. And 2J, which has just recently come into the electorate of Central Wheatbelt, moved and rebuilt after devastating floods, stands as a testament of resilience. Merredin, once a vital military outpost during World War II, now an agricultural powerhouse that leads the state in grain production. And the 3 great Aboriginal custodianships to convict enterprise, gold rushes to grain, migration to modernisation. The Central Wheatbelt is built on hope, deep heritage and tenacity. It is the greatest honour of my life to serve these communities in this place. Now, Acting Speaker, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the 5 National Party leaders and our current leader. It is rare to have you all in the same place at the same time. Your presence here today means more than I can explain. Each of you have walked this path before me, and 4 of you did so as the member for Central Wheatbelt, or in its earlier forms as the electorate of Avon, Merredin and Merredin-Yilgarn. The legacy you have left is not just written in Hansard, it is etched into the roads, hospitals and communities in our state. To the Honourable Hendy Cowan, whose 1974 inaugural speech remains the clearest and most compelling call for decentralisation I've ever read. Your vision remains as relevant today as it was then. To Max Trenorden, you are a local legend and fierce advocate for our communities. Your ability to genuinely connect with people has always inspired me. And to the Honourable Brendan Grills, a truly transformational leader whose bold thinking delivered royalties for regions, forever reshaping the role of regional Western Australia in public policy. It remains the absolute blueprint of national parties to fight for around the country. And to my old boss, who I see in the gallery tonight, the Honourable Terry Redman, a principled, policy-driven individual. Terry, you are living proof that good policy is good politics. And finally, to my predecessor, the Honourable Mia Davies. You are my dear friend. Mia, you are a woman of grace and grit, a truly rare combination in politics. You led with integrity and humility, and you have left very big shoes to fill, as everyone keeps reminding me. I wish you nothing but the very best as you open the next chapter in your life. And finally, to our current leader, Shane Love, one of the most generous people you will ever meet, a man of quiet strength. Underestimate him at your peril. Shane, your steady leadership has seen the largest number of Nationals elected to this place in many years. To all of you, thank you. I am standing on the shoulders of giants. Madam Speaker, can I get a short extension, please?
Extension granted.
Thank you. I also want to say thank you to Senator the Honourable Bridget McKenzie, who after today's events in Canberra couldn't be here tonight. You took a chance on a young bloke from Western Australia, and you showed me nearly every corner of this great country. You gave me a deep appreciation for the bicameral system of Parliament, a grudging respect for standing orders, and a front row seat to the fierce tenacity it takes to thrive in public life. I love my time working with you in Canberra, and I count you not only as a mentor, but a dear friend. To my National Party colleagues, to our Deputy Leader, the Member for Roe, Peter Rundle, perhaps the kindest Member of Parliament you will ever come across. A true team player, a friend. Thank you, Pete, and to your wonderful wife, Andrea. To my colleagues in this chamber, Kirralie Waugh, Scott Leary and Bevan Eates, and in the other place, Julie Freeman and Rob Hortzman, I look forward to standing alongside each of you as we work together to protect and promote the interests of regional Western Australia. And to my parliamentary Liberal colleagues, we are partners in opposition, and I look forward to working together to restore good government in Western Australia in 2029. Acting Speaker, I was one of the fortunate candidates to be pre-selected nearly 12 months prior to the March 8 state election, democratically chosen by grassroots branch members. I want to sincerely thank the Central Wheatbelt Electorate Council for that incredible honour. But let me be clear, campaigns are not won alone, and I had the best team in the business. My campaign chair began as the Honourable Mia Davies, and then the formidable Heather Giles from Merredin took up the reins with energy, wisdom and relentless commitment. My deep thanks to you both. To those who stood by me through every twist and turn of the campaign, and this list is not exhaustive, but to Rob Tinetti, Jordan Mills, Dennis and Kathy Saunders, Laura Butler, Georgia Traynor, David Holdsworth, Kath Brown and Rick Newman, Sam Edwards and also to Heather York. To Lily Balaam and her wonderful family for all your extraordinarily selfless support over the past years. Thank you. And thank you also to the hundreds of people across the Central Wheatbelt who have supported our cause. Whether you were one of the many who manned our 38 polling booths, braved the scorching Wheatbelt heat during the 2 weeks of pre-poll, put up one of my very large signs, or simply offered encouragement along the way, I am deeply grateful. To the Honourable Martin Aldridge MLC, thank you for your years of friendship, guidance and belief. To our State Secretariat team, Julie Kirby, as a former campaign director for the Nationals myself, I just know how thankless your task can be. To Nathan Quigley, thank you for answering our call, for leaving your family in New South Wales to lead our campaign with clarity and purpose. You are a master of your craft. And finally, to the young Nationals who rolled up their sleeves and got stuck in, particularly your President Sebastian Schiano. A heartfelt thanks as well to many friends and supporters who flew from across the country to be there on election night. Your presence meant the world. And to Judy James at the back of the Speaker's Gallery, thank you for all you do for me and for the National Party. Your positivity lights up our lives. And finally, to my electorate office teams in Merredin and Northam, Kath, Rhonda, Wendy and Georgia. You are my ears, eyes and often my brains. I count myself lucky to have inherited such a dedicated team from Mia Davies. To Kath in particular, as you courageously fight your second battle with cancer, I want you to know that we are all thinking of you. Your strength is an inspiration and we wish you a full and speedy recovery. So to the future, I believe that politics today is too often reduced to slogans. We've all heard the Labor Party's Made in WA campaign, but right now, that phrase is just a marketing line. It makes a nice headline, but it won't power a factory or build a future. If we are serious about unlocking Western Australia's full potential, then it's time to turbocharge Made in WA with real policy reform, bold ideas that harness our natural advantage and turn it into generational opportunity. Let's increase the domestic gas reservation to 20% and ensure that gas actually gets delivered into the energy grid to power new WA-made industries. Let's ensure native title groups get a 2% share of that reservation, not as a handout, but as a partnership, because when traditional owners are part of the project, not pushed to the margins, we create economic inclusion and shared prosperity. Let's push for Northam, for Kalgoorlie and for the Pilbara to be hubs for population growth, places with strategic housing, water, transport and industrial infrastructure ready to go. Let's extend the Dampier to Bunbury gas pipeline to key regional centres like Northam, so we can establish genuine strategic industrial areas outside of our metropolitan sprawl. Let's build a state where the next generation doesn't have to move to Perth to find opportunity. This is the vision we need for Western Australia: bold, practical and unapologetically regional. And we must reclaim our state's boldness. Western Australia should always think big, should always defy geography, doubt and the dry heat of the land. At the turn of the 20th century, C.Y. O'Connor stood before an impossible challenge: to deliver fresh water from Mundaring all the way to the goldfields, across hundreds of kilometres of unforgiving country. Critics said that it could not be done, that it was mad, that it would fail. But O'Connor pressed on, building a pipeline that threads its way right through the middle of my electorate of Central Wheatbelt, a pipeline that carried hope, prosperity and the future of a fledgling state. Yet that crazed audacity changed Western Australia forever. But that is our inheritance. The challenges we face today in energy, in housing, in jobs, in regional development demand nothing less than bold thinking and a long-term vision. Not tinkering at the edges, not managing decline. If we want to build a state that future generations are proud of, we must think like O'Connor, unafraid of failure. Acting Speaker, the people of the Central Wheatbelt know what it means to have hope, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. The kind of hope that built Hope Springs, the kind of hope that sows seed in a drought, that reopens the local shop after hardship, that volunteers even when the services are stripped away. As I take my place in this chamber, I do so with their trust and their hopes in my hands. Just as my grandparents once stood on that dry, dusty land and chose to believe in something better, I carry that belief with me every day I serve. Hope springs eternal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Baz.
Give it. Yeah. Do it? Okay. Leader of the House.